Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 is an initiative by the government to make Malaysia a nation that achieves sustainable growth along with fair and equitable distribution across income groups, ethnicities, regions, and supply chains. There are three primary objectives of the SPV 2030. The first is to restructure the economy to be more progressive and provide development for all. The second objective is to address wealth and income disparities, ensuring no one is left behind. And lastly, to build Malaysia as a united, prosperous, and dignified nation. Recognizing the importance of a shared prosperity vision to provide a decent standard of living to all Malaysians by 2030, the Malaysia Productivity Corporation, MPC, has set up E-Shared Prosperity Organization, or ESPO, a platform dedicated to recognize and acknowledge organizations that practice the shared prosperity scheme with their workers. This system enables employers to adapt to the changing economic situation and to manage the flexible wage system of workers. This video will serve as a training module for the Malaysian agricultural industry to be exposed to ESPO. Many are still in the dark and unsure what ESPO is and what are benefits that it brings to the industry. Let's dive further to understand what exactly is ESPO. E-Shared Prosperity Organization, or ESPO, is an online platform that issues an electronic certificate to companies or organizations that have successfully implemented the Productivity-Linked Wage System, PLWS. PLWS is a flexible wage system that is based on gain sharing and mutual wealth creation between employer and employee. The platform was launched on the 17th of December 2020 by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Nur Azman Ayub, Deputy Secretary General from the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI. There are three types of benefit an agriculture organization can reap by being acknowledged with ESPO: direct benefits, indirect benefits, and future benefits. The direct benefits of ESPO include the ability for the employer to manage a flexible compensation system of a company. An employer can reward their workers' productivity and efficiency on top of their basic pay. This will motivate the workers to do better at the workplace. It also increases workers' engagement in a certain project, since the workers' wage capacity is tied to their productivity. Studies have also indicated that companies that implement PLWS show an increase of 15% in productivity, 10% in profitability, and 10% in worker wages. An indirect benefit of a company that has been acknowledged by ESPO is it enhances the company's business visibility, competitiveness, and standing in the marketplace. This identity will give the company an added point for the employee as it incentivizes them and ultimately enhances harmonious industrial relations. In the future, as the country moves towards ESPO certification, companies that are early adopters of this certification will be seen as leaders of the system. This certificate will also be part of the company's qualification or criteria for future awards and incentives from the government. We hope we have persuaded you enough so you would be enticed by the many benefits you can get when your organization is acknowledged. This training module will cover 20 elements of ESPO in the agriculture sector. There are three main components of this module: the bonus component, the productivity and performance incentives component, and lastly, the skills incentives component. The bonus component makes up 200 marks. The productivity and performance incentives component is the biggest component and it takes up 600 marks, while the skills incentives component takes up 200 marks. The total mark is 1,000 marks awarded. All these elements are equally important and can easily be used in the agriculture industry to stimulate wealth creation and for more efficient wealth sharing. The questions in the evaluation will be a simple yes or no question for each component. The first component of this training module is the bonus component, and it covers 6 elements. The first element is to evaluate if your company implements a profitability bonus. This question is to measure if your company sets aside a predetermined amount as a bonus on top of the worker's basic salary. This, of course, depends on whether the company reaches its profit goals of the year. For example, a palm oil plantation generates 2 million ringgit in profit for the year and allocates 10% or 200,000 ringgit bonus to pay out to its employees. Providing bonus as a reward can strengthen employees' loyalty, productivity, and improve their hiring and retention potential. This is because employees feel more fairly compensated for their hard work. Here we have an example of 2 bonus models that are commonly used by companies. In Table 1.1, we see a profit after tax model where employees are eligible for 2 months' basic salary if the company reaches 2 million ringgit in profit after tax. In Table 1.2, we see another module used by another company where the profit before tax bonus reaches 6 million ringgit and the employees are eligible for an annual bonus of 500 ringgit. Element 2 is to measure if your organization implements a company performance bonus. This is a form of additional compensation given to an employee or department for achieving pre-established goals or targets. A company performance bonus will help employees feel more engaged, knowing that their work is important and holds meaning to the company. Table 2.1 shows that if the return of investment (ROI) is more than 100%, then the employees are rewarded with 1 month of their basic salary as the year's bonus. Table 2.2 shows another module where the incentives are paid based on business plan. If the company achieved the business plan target above 140%, employees will be rewarded with 2 months bonus. Does your company implement an employee performance bonus? Unlike Element 2, which focuses on the company performance, Element 3 is to assess if the company provides a bonus that is specific to an individual performance rating for the year. A performance bonus is implemented when employees achieve excellent performance set at the beginning of a performance cycle. Based on Table 3.1, an employee must achieve a performance mark of more than 40% to be eligible for a performance bonus. He or she will not be eligible for a performance bonus if the productivity level for that cycle is below 40%. In Table 3.2, we see that an employee's performance rating is above the target. They will be awarded up to 2.25 times their basic salary. Next, Element 4 is a combination of both company profitability and employee performance. Profitability and employee performance bonus is a form of additional compensation paid to an employee or department as a reward for achieving specific goals or hitting predetermined targets. So if the company achieves a certain profit and the employee's performance are also above average, then they are entitled to an additional bonus. An example is shown here in Table 4.1. If the average employee's performance is at 80 to 90% and the company gets a post-tax profit of 10 million ringgit, therefore the employee is eligible for a 1-month bonus. The higher the profitability and employee performance, the higher will be the bonus paid. In Table 4.2, you can see that it is based on an individual employee performance rating and pre-tax profit. So if a company's revenue is at 12 million ringgit and the employee's performance rating is above 80, that employee can be rewarded a 2.1-month bonus. Element 5 is to evaluate if your company implements a bonus based on company performance and employee performance. Generally, company performance bonuses are awarded for the achievement of the business plan, and employee bonus amounts may vary depending on the individual performance. Table 5.1 and 5.2 shows two types of company performance, which are company business plan performance and company output performance. If the company business plan can reach 85% to 100% and the employee score is 70% to 80%, then the employee will get a 1-month bonus. Table 5.2 shows that if a harvesting operator manages to harvest between 20 to 29 tons of palm fruit per year and is rated as an employee with outstanding performance, he will get a 1.6-month bonus. And for the final element of the bonus component, does your employee implement a share option? A share option is given to employees to buy shares in the company at a discounted price, which is less than the market value. Employees normally welcome share schemes because it allows them to feel a part of the company by owning a little piece of it. In some instances, it allows them to tax relief efficiently too. In Table 6.1, we see a call option available for staff. For example, if the value of the stock price shows at 25 ringgit, the call option for the employees will be 3 ringgit. Now that we have covered the bonus incentives component, let's move on to the next component, productivity or performance incentives. There are 11 elements or questions that you will need to self-evaluate in this section, and the total marks in this section are 600 marks awarded. The first question of this component is to check if your company provides salary increment based on employee performance. Based on this table, the salary increments payment are determined through achievements of merit points, performance level, percentage-based increment, and performance increments. This table indicates the employee performance rating if an employee performance score is between 65 to 80%. He is entitled to 5% of the incentive. Additionally, Table 7.2 shows that if the merit points fall under good, then the base increment will be 2% with a performance increment of 6%. The next element in this training module is to assess whether your company provides productivity incentives based on employee performance. An employee that has an excellent performance record will be eligible to get annual incentives in monetary and non-monetary forms. Examples of monetary incentives include profit sharing, project bonuses, and schedule bonuses. Non-monetary incentives include things like healthcare benefits, life insurance, and other types of privileges that can be supported by the company. In Table 8.1 and 8.2, we see productivity incentives given to employees in a chicken farm based on how good they do within their job grade. Take Miss Radhika, for example. She works as an operating executive with a job grade 4, and she manages to achieve an excellent rating. She's then awarded 33 ringgit monthly. In Table 8.2, if she is evaluated as good in the productivity achievement indices, she will be rewarded between 21% to 25% of basic wages. Question 9 of the component is to measure if your company provides task incentives. Task incentives are paid to an employee based on the given task. Task incentives depend on the size fixed based on per hectare and topography of land. For example, a rubber tapper can tap 400 to 600 trees in an average. Table 9.1 shows how a rubber tapper achieved a target based on standard working hours, within which a certain target achieved. He will be rewarded 60 ringgit per month for tapping more than 600 trees. Question 10 asks if your company provides incentives based on a reduction in wastage. Employee or quality improvement teams received incentives based on reduction in wastage, which depends on the category of workers. In this example, an incentive will be paid based on the reduction in wastages and costs saved during the harvesting of palm fruits. Table 10.1 shows the incentive paid for the transportation of the fresh palm fruit branches. It must be delivered to the mill within 24 hours of being harvested. Palm oil truck transporter will receive rewards of 100 ringgit monthly for delivering to the mill within 24 hours. We're halfway through our training module. The next 10 elements will equally be simple and easy to comprehend. Let's move to element 11. Does your company provide a price bonus, incentives for double tapping, scrap rubber, rate per bunch, collection of loose palm kernel seeds? Incentives or price bonus will be given to employees based on the increase in the price of commodities and based on other activities. Table 11.1 shows the distribution of an additional price bonus of 20 cents per day worked and shall be paid for each increase in the price zone. Other incentives could also be paid as the following examples. Incentives for the double tapping based on agreed agreement. Incentives based on the quantity of rubber scrap collected according to the current rubber scrap price. Incentives based on numbers of bunch harvested without any defect. Incentives based on collection of loose palm kernel seeds in the kilograms. And many other examples according to the industry and organization involvement. Element 12 is to evaluate if your company provides incentives based on the personal quality of a worker. Do you reward an employee who performs commendably in criteria such as attendance, absenteeism, punctuality, and discipline? Table 12.1 refers to incentives based on criteria achieved. For example, if an employee achieved 5 criteria, he or she will receive 100 ringgit as an incentive. Tables 12.3 shows how incentives will be distributed based on the number of personal criteria achieved. For example, if an employee achieves all the criteria every quarterly, they will get 300 ringgit. Does your company provide productivity incentive scheme? This is when a certain amount of incentive is paid if the company achieves the harvesting target set at the plant level. Table 13.1 shows that employees are rewarded based on the quality output. So if an employee reaches the quality output between 93 to 95%, he or she will be entitled to a one-off payment of 100 ringgit. Table 13.2 exhibits that operators are given monthly incentives of 200 ringgit for the collection of fresh bunches of palm oil between 7 to 9 metric tons for production volume of monthly saleable output. Element 14 focuses on performance incentive allowance. This is when an employee has reached the maximum on their salary scale and has performed commendably during the review period. He or she will then be eligible for a monthly allowance, which won't be attached to their basic salary. Table 14.1 shows that if an employee performance rating is more than 85%, he or she will receive 60 ringgit monthly. Table 14.2 shows if palm oil harvesting mandor with more than 10 years experience but have reached the maximum on their salary scale but still perform commendably at the workplace, he or she will receive a monthly incentive of 100 ringgit. Question 15 is to evaluate if your company provides activities based on incentives. Examples of palm oil incentives are based on harvesting, spraying, and fertilizing. This is to motivate workers to achieve work targets set based on average workers' output during standard working hours. For example, Table 15.1 shows workers are paid a monthly incentive of 120 to 130 ringgit for the additional tasks such as harvesting, spraying, and fertilizing. Does your company provide a coaching allowance? This is where an employee can be paid to conduct internal training or coaching for their fellow company staff, depending on the training topic and feedback from internal staff. Usually, the rate paid is on an hourly basis, depending on the area of expertise. Table 16.1 shows the hourly rate that will be paid if the existing worker trains new staff on either the hard skills, soft skills, or technical expertise. For example, if a senior worker of a palm oil plantation trains new workers on the preparation and method of fertilization, he or she can get a 50 ringgit per hour. The last element under the productivity or performance incentives component is to evaluate if your company provides other non-financial incentives. These are acknowledgements of an employee's excellence and loyalty and makes them feel appreciated by the company. Non-financial incentives examples can be an annual family day, awards for best employee, service awards for years served in the company, and even trip incentives. All these can help with the employer-employee relations, which ultimately improve productivity and performance, yielding potential positive business results. We have finally reached the skills incentive component, which consists of 3 questions that cover 3 elements. This component carries 200 marks of the ESPO acknowledgement criteria. Question 18 is about incentives based on an employee's ability to implement multi-skills. When an employee can apply several different skills in more than one area, he or she is incentivized. An example in Table 18 shows an agriculture operator job scope is to repair, maintain, and field operation of root harvesting. However, since the worker is also competent to do maintenance spraying and dusting equipment, he will be paid an incentive of 150 ringgit. Table 18.2 exhibits that if an employee is able to apply more than one skills in the workplace, the employee is entitled to receive 100 ringgit additional incentive for each additional skill. The focus of element 19 is to measure if the company provides incentives based on multitasking capability. This refers to an employee's ability to manage multiple responsibilities. Table 19.1 shows the job scope of Mr. Terry. His main job scope in a palm oil plantation is to harvest palm fruit. However, he's also able to complete another task, which is spraying. Because of this, he will be paid a monthly allowance of 150 ringgit. Table 19.2 shows that if a worker is able to perform more than one task within the standard working hours per day, the worker is then rewarded with 150 ringgit per additional task. And for the final question of the component, element 20 questions if your company provides incentives based on certified skills. The certification is to show that the employee has acquired specific formal training for the skills and knowledge to apply in the workforce. This credential will give the worker an added advantage as they will be more well equipped for an occupation, technology, or industry practices. For example, Table 20.1 shows that if a palm oil operator manages to obtain a precision farming certificate, the operator will be rewarded with 200 ringgit monthly. Certified skill incentives can also be used for an organization to show appreciation or give recognition for a job well done. This can be a reward for developing new skills or obtaining competency certificate. We've come to the end of our training module for the agriculture sector. That wasn't so hard, was it? Hopefully, with the guidelines and explanations that we have gone through today, you would have a better understanding of the E-Shared Prosperity Organization Acknowledgement Certificate process. We wish to see you as one of the agricultural organizations that is registered under ESPO soon. Your involvement in this certification will be a part of the nation-building initiative in line with the Shared Prosperity Vision of 2030. With the noble objective to provide a decent standard of living to all Malaysians by the year 2030. To be acknowledged, all you have to do is log on to www.mpc.gov.my/ESPO and answer the simple questions today.